and that one is you. No other will do. I've lost all ambition or worldly acclaim. I just wanna be the one you love. I've lost all ambition or worldly acclaim. I just wanna be the one you love. Lost all ambition, worldly acclaim. I just wanna be the one you love. I've lost all ambition or worldly acclaim. I just wanna be the one you love. I've lost all ambition or worldly acclaim. I just wanna be the one you love, love. Lost all ambition or worldly acclaim. I just be the one you love. I've lost all ambition or worldly acclaim. I just wanna be the one you love, love. Wanna.
This couldn't happen again. This is that one. This couldn't happen again.
Didn't build any pipelines because they were afraid.
Vulvas and vaginas.
That I'm for a gold standard.
It's crazy, but it's real. We are banned on the mainstream media.
What is his ties to the West?
Oh, it's dangerous to have people expressing their point of view.
To have the courage of your conviction.
Control from the big tech or from the government. We don't like fiat money.
Drop a comment, ask a question. We'll try and get to as many as we can at the end of the episode. Hello and welcome to Mad Max Live. My name's Daniel Tyree and I'm the Executive Director of the People's Party of Canada. But tonight I am your host. I'm here with the man who needs no introduction, Maxime Bernier. How are you doing tonight?
Fine, thank you very much. That will be a nice show tonight. Yeah. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, let's get into it. We have some great topics to get into tonight. We're going to kick things off with an interview with a very special guest. We'll talk a bit about upcoming party news, what's going on in the party. We want to have a little bit of a discussion on the increasing normalization of radical gender ideology. We'll close out the show with a bit of a conversation on a faceless, nameless, evil corporation known as McKinsey and Company. But before we get into that, I do want to do the general kind of housekeeping, get that out of the way before we get the show started. As a general reminder, Mad Max Live is our bi-weekly PPC live stream where Maxim and I sit down to talk to you folks about what's going on in the news, to update you on what's going on in the party and all that fun stuff. We're currently live streaming across our social media networks on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, the works. Wherever you follow us, we're streaming right now. So if you could take a moment, make sure you're following us on whatever platform you're on, or jump over to a different platform. Make sure you're following us there as well, especially those pro-free speech channels, Rumble and Odyssey. We all know our time is limited on these traditional big tech platforms. It's only a matter of time before they censor us there. So if you're following us on Rumble and Odyssey, that'll ensure you'll be able to watch all of our video content, regardless of what those fellas in Silicon Valley decide to do to us. But the best way you can follow the PPC is to head over to our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca, and sign up for our email list. That's how you get the unfiltered, uncensored news straight from Maxim's mind, straight from Maxim's fingertips, right into your inbox. Make sure you're on that email list to get all of our hot takes, updates, and updates on when Maxim will be in an area near you. And he will be doing some traveling over the next month or so around Ontario and in Manitoba as well. We'll get into that a bit more in a moment. But with all that out of the way, I do want to jump into our first topic, which is an interview with an interesting fellow, a young guy named Kamil Bachouchi. You might have seen him on social media. He's a fourth-year philosophy student over at the University of Wilfrid Laurier in Kitchener, Ontario. Where he's been creatively opposing their ongoing mask mandates. Yeah, really, they do have ongoing mask mandates at some post-secondary institution. But I don't want to tell Cam's story. I want Cam to tell us his story. So let's bring him on.
Hello, bonjour.
Hey, hello, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
So welcome to our show. And yes, like Daniel just said, can you tell us a little bit more about you and also what is the environment at your university right now?
Yeah. So you covered most of the introduction. Thank you very much. My name is Kamil Bachouchi. I'm a fourth-year student at Wilfrid Laurier. I guess that to give you a little backstory, this all started in 2021 September, when my school informed the students that refused to show proof of vaccination that they would essentially be kicked out of school without a full refund of their tuition money. So yeah, I was not exactly willing to provide that kind of personal information. I didn't think that they were privy to my personal medical information, or anyone else's for that matter, whether it be students or staff. So I guess I got the boot. I took it with a little bit of class. I tried not to cause too much of a scene, but coming back to school, like, it was my last year too, so I should be in law school right now. But nonetheless, I decided to, make better use of my time, try and focus on other things. Since I wasn't able to go to school anywhere in Ontario, I wasn't allowed to fly out of Canada. I was stuck here. So I had a little bit of a bone to pick, I guess, with Laurier coming back to school this semester, this past fall semester, where I thought everything was going to be back to normal. Society seemed fine. Relatively, right? Over the summer. And Laurier didn't have any mask mandates or anything like that going in over the summer during their in-person teaching during those 4 months. So I was expecting everything to be a little bit back to normal. I quickly found out that actually a couple of days before the semester started that there was going to be a mask mandate in place.
But you just said that you didn't, at the university, didn't have any mask mandate before that. During the big COVID hysteria, didn't have any mask mandate. And now after all that, when, the virus is not deadly for the big majority of the population, they are putting forward a mask mandate. And they starting that last September. That's what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, not only few people in the population, but I mean, especially not the student populace, right? I mean, I would argue we're the youngest and the healthiest people, or at least adults in society. I don't think that we pose a risk to each other or to ourselves. So it is an interesting rule to have in place. But yeah, I was just as shocked as you are right now, right? To think that we were over the hump, seemingly, just for them to throw this right back in our faces.
Excellent. So we've been following you for a little while now, Kamil. But can you explain to our viewers how you've started standing up to this ridiculous mandate?
Yeah. So I had, interestingly enough, there's teachers at Laurier. We'll to give a rough number, about half that do respect the personal autonomy of the students. They do not want to treat us like 6-year-olds or like kindergartners. They do respect the fact that they are instructing a class full of adults, right? So, I mean, I'm a young adult, but I've never gone up to someone and told them to do anything, especially not with their bodies, or not to put something on their face, right? So there are, I would say, small majority of teachers that respect the students' personal autonomy in that sense. So they're not out to tell these adults what to do. And I was lucky enough to be taking, so I was taking 5 classes last semester, and 4 of my teachers, first day of school, they asked me to put the mask on. I respectfully said no, I wasn't comfortable doing that. And that was the end of it. It didn't need to get, hostile, didn't need to get into a fight. It was simple. I had one teacher that that decided to forcefully suggest that we wear the masks. I don't want to call it a request, but it was under the threat of being physically removed from class by campus security and kicked out of the class. I mean, taken out of unenrolled from the class, as well as facing disciplinary measures with the board of Laurier themselves, because this is their instruction, right? The teachers are doing the bidding on behalf of Laurier, which is my big issue with the school and the administrators there. So I put the mask on, like this for a few classes, and then finally I snapped. I was like, I'd never really put the mask on, whether it be public transit. I just didn't, we'll save my reasons for another time, but I never really put the mask on. So it was honestly tough for me to do this. And after 2 weeks, maybe, I got sick and tired of it. So, and obviously I'd been conjuring up some ideas on how I could get around the mandate without getting kicked out of school. Like I said, I'm in my last year. I just want to get out of there.
That's a nice challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I wish more people were getting creative like that. I think it would have gone a long way, at least with regards to not only the provincial government, but with the federal government too. I mean, if they see people mocking their ridiculous mandates, not only the ones that infringe our own personal freedoms, but the ones that aren't necessarily going along the science, they're going along the narrative that we're seeing. And I think it would have been interesting to see, a few 100,000 people wearing silly masks, but yeah, I've been thinking up, okay, what can I possibly do? And I guess I decided that I was going to stop wearing the mask, and I read the rule that Laurier had issued to us, which was medical or non-medical 2-layer mask. It is really ridiculous. So my first mask was a Ziploc bag that I'd folded up, and then used some phone charging cables as the ear holes. And yeah, I mean, my teacher was not happy about that. And it progressed to grapefruit, to lettuce, to whatever I can think of that morning, really. And yeah, it's been.
Which one was the most comfortable?
I honestly, that one right there, that one was horrible. I could barely breathe. But I would say the grapefruit. The grapefruit was it smelled good. It was easy to put on. It didn't move. It was perfect.
Oh my God! Yeah, this is the one. Yeah.
At least the military grade face mask is probably effective at keeping out COVID,
Right.
even if it's uncomfortable.
And that's the thing, right? And you can see in the background, people are wearing cloth masks. And that was the first comment my teacher made when I wore the Ziploc. She was like, "You're not wearing a real mask." I was like, who are you to define what a real mask is, right? I'm
Yeah.
following the guidelines that the school set in place. She was like, no, Camille, go get a real mask. And I was being respectful, honestly. I told her, look, professor, with all due respect, I'm not going to go do that. Just because you don't like my mask, that doesn't mean that I'm breaking any rules. So respectfully, I'm going to keep this mask on because I'm allegedly protecting the public safety or the safety and the health of my fellow my peers here. And she was like, but there's air coming out of the side of your masks. I was like, I looked around. I was like, there's air coming out of your mask, everyone's masks. My mask is no different. Just because you can see my mouth, that doesn't mean that I'm not covering my face. And eventually her appeal it was always fallacious, but it went from an appeal to authority to an appeal to emotion. So it was like, oh, Camille, please, like, I really appreciate it. And I said, okay, well, you know what? You don't respect me. I'm not going to respect you in this instance. I have with all that. Ironically, I was saying all this. The first words in my sentence was with all due respect every time when I was telling her that I wasn't going to do what she's asking. But yeah, I mean, it progressed. It got more attention than I could have ever imagined. I mean, I'm sitting here with someone I'm a big fan of. So yeah, I mean, it's been incredible, and I know it's shined a big light on the school themselves. They're not too happy. I mean, they've tried to re-educate me in the face covering policy, but when you make a stupid rule, you have to expect that it's going to get broken, or at least
play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right?
Exactly.
So how has it been received by like your other teachers,
or
students?
your friends, or
exactly.
your friends?
Are you losing friends? Are you getting harassed on campus? Like, what's the story there?
My friends, they've gotten used to me. They know what to expect nowadays.
So they're real friends. That's great.
Exactly. No, yeah. I mean, I don't think I could have done this without my friends. Like, I love them. I love them so much. Like, I know it's for life with these guys, and we go a long way back.
Did other people follow you on that and try other kind of a mask?
In that class, I had one buddy who wore a Santa mask near the end of the semester. Would wear, a Santa hat as his mask, and the teacher wasn't too happy with that. And I had a few students that wanted it from that, and it was a small class. It was like a 20-person, one of those third years, smaller classes, and they wanted to full on, not necessarily protest, but show up without the mask and refuse to put it on. And I talked to them and I told them, look, like, this is what you are risking by doing that, because this teacher, I mean, she was a fanatic. She was truly, and I don't know where this comes from, but it might be fear, it might be ideology. Honestly, I don't know. We never had these deep conversations. It was a little more hostile than that. But she would not have put up with that. So I told my buddies, I was like, look, there's no point showing up without a mask and sitting there. And I would join you, but it's not going to amount to anything, because we're going to get kicked out and nobody's going to be able to speak out and try and I don't want to say convince the other students, but in a sense, we need to raise a bit of awareness towards this nonsense, right? Honestly, I don't forget about the science. I'm not a doctor. I'm thinking strictly from a libertarian perspective, which is, I'm young, obviously, but that would be my political ideology, 100%. Which is why I respect the heck out of you guys, man. I mean, what you guys do, and you stand up for Canadians' rights and freedoms, and that's fundamentally, I think that's the biggest issue with this. It's the fact that we are treated like not only like kindergartners, but like they are our parents, that they can tell us what to put on our faces. And so I think students at Laurier and other schools that have to deal with this, because it's not just Laurier, they need to stand up and they really need to start speaking out, because this isn't about now. It's about down the road. What is the next thing they're going to do to undermine our basic rights here? I mean, I don't think it's a lot to ask not to put something on my face.
Yeah, I like the way that you managed, that stupid regulation, because there's a risk for you as a student, and you want to go on, you want to have your diploma, but at the same time also you want to show to them that what they're asking is crazy, and you did the right thing by pushing the envelope, and I think that was the right decision. So right now you're still in the class, and you're able to have your course, and and you'll be able to have your exam and go through that. But also you made a point, and you are making a point. So I'm always saying, you must have the courage of your conviction. You are a nice example of that, and I want to thank you for that. Congratulations. That's tough. And I understand Daniel told me that you may do a protest or something like that in the near future.
Yeah. So Students Against Mandates, a group that I'm a part of. I encourage everyone to check it out. I joined in a bit late. I mean, I guess you could say I got recruited after they saw what I was doing at Laurier. And they do awesome work. I mean, we interview different experts, and I mean, Monsieur Bernier, we would love to have you on in case you ever wanted to come on. But we interview different experts on doctors, lawyers, different media personalities, people that really know what's going on with regards to these, not only these mandates, but with the science behind the mandates. We hold protests at different university cities across Canada. It's not just in Ontario. So Students Against Mandates is an awesome group, and we're having a protest at Waterloo Town Square, which is, I guess, the de facto public square in the city of Waterloo. And we're going to be gathering on February 4th, Saturday, so a week and a bit. And if anyone's in the region or not too far away, we encourage you to come on down and show some support, because I think the way to get around this is, or to have the school drop these mandates, which is the goal, really. I mean, I didn't start this just to, get Twitter likes. I want these mandates dropped, right? It's unacceptable that this is still going on. They need to see that it's not just one guy and a few thousand Twitter followers. It's, there's community members, students, professors that are all against this educational, I don't want to call it tyranny, but I mean, I don't think it can get much closer.
Yeah. And it's too bad, because I have something on my agenda that day, but if I'm available, I'll try to be at that protest, but it will be very difficult. And, I'll be open to do an interview with you at any time. But yes, the fight must go on, and the common sense will prevail. And it's something that, they are still asking for a mask mandate in university right now, when the new variant is very, very not dangerous for you guys. So, and it's a crazy world.
Right.
It's complete nonsense. We're gonna have to wrap this up now, Cam. I'll reach out to you, get you something set up with you and this guy on with Students Against Mass. It'd be great to talk to you guys. Thanks so much for joining us today, Cam. It's great to see, brave young people standing up and getting involved. And we really shouldn't forget how powerful of a tool comedy can be. I think you've brought in a lot of awareness just by doing silly things and being open about it.
Yeah. Thank you, and keep up the good work. And if you have other ideas to how to protest and win that debate, don't hesitate. Be yourself and fight that fight. We are with you 100%.
Thank you guys so much.
Any final things you'd like to say to our viewers?
Check out Students Against Mandates. Keep fighting. Stand up for your rights. I mean, it's in this country, it's one of the few things we can claim is our fundamental rights. So speak up. Use your freedom of speech, and don't let people scare you out of thinking that you're on the right side here. Seriously.
Excellent. Thanks so much for joining us, Cam.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
guys.
you again.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
A courageous guy. I hope I'll be able to meet him in person.
I'm sure we'll set something up soon. Courageous young guy. It's nice to see young people getting involved and getting active. And well spoken to.
Yeah,
got a good head on his shoulders. So before we move on, make sure to take a moment to interact with this live stream. Drop a like, a follow, a share, a retweet, whatever the social media mumbo jumbo is for the platform that you're on currently. Make sure to interact with this live stream. It helps get more and more eyeballs and more ears hearing our message, which is the main goal at the end of the day. Before we get into our kind of major topics, I just want to go over some basic party news. We want to update our supporters on what's going on in the party. And the biggest thing coming up is some upcoming travels.
Yes. Yes, Daniel, you put on my agenda a nice plan for February. I'll be at Atwood, not this weekend, but next one near Kitchener.
Yep.
And you will have a breakfast over there, a brunch Saturday morning, and you can go on the website of the party, peoplespartyofcanada.ca, on the events page.
Yep.
So you'll be able to have all the details. But also we'll be together in Manitoba, southern Manitoba. The week after, I believe it will be the 14th of February, something like that.
Yeah. The 2 middle weeks of February.
Yeah.
Valentine's weekend and the weekend afterwards, all over Manitoba, up north, a couple spots too. Dauphin, Steinbach, Winkler, Winnipeg. He'll be all over the place over 2 weekends. So if you're in the Atwood area, in Kitchener, Waterloo, anywhere like that, make sure you're on our email list. We'll be sending out those updates. Check out ppcevents.ca for all the details, as well as for all you folks out in Manitoba.
Yeah, and that will be fun in Manitoba. As you know, I did also a big 2 weekends in Northern Ontario. So I'll do that in Alberta and Manitoba. And after that, we'll be on the road and meet you guys. So if you want me in your riding and, you have a special events, don't hesitate to be in touch with Daniel and the head office at peoplespartyofcanada.ca.
Yeah, excellent. And the other big development to start off the year, or I guess to cap off last year, was it's the numbers are in. We capped off 2022 with a record fundraising quarter. So there's been a lot of ink spilled on Pierre Poilievre stealing our supporters and the demise of the PPC. But we had our best non-election fundraising quarter to end off the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to thank all our donors all across the country, our members, our team also at the head office, Daniel and you. We work very hard the last couple of months to be sure to have the numbers, to be sure also not to have a deficit, because as you know, we created that party. We never had a deficit and we won't. I want to balance the budget at the federal level. So for sure, we will balance the budget here at the PPC. And we did very well, around $720,000 the last trimester, but it's about $850,000 altogether. But for the end of the year, and we'll have a surplus about 150,000, something like that. So it's going well. I'm seeing a real operational surplus because we received. We won't forget that. We received about $720,000 from Election Canada because they are reimbursing half of our expenses, like they did for every political party in Canada. So we received that from Election Canada, and that's why if you count that, we'll have a surplus of $850,000, something like that. But a real operational surplus of 150 around that, because we won't have that subsidies next year. So it's going well. We have the money. We are putting the money in the bank, and we'll be ready to promote our ideas before the next election, during the next election. And I want to thank all our donors. And if you want to donate, $400, you'll have 75% tax credit. The real cost for you will be $100. So you can do that. You can go on our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca, click donation, and we'll be there to promote our ideas with you.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge to continue to save for the next election while continuing to expand our team and make sure our volunteers have great tools and all those important resources to continue growing. But we're managing very well. Like our staff has consistently grown. we're working on all sorts of exciting projects that'll be coming out in the next few weeks. Candidate selection should be launching soon.
Oh yes, you're in charge of that. That's a great news. So if you're interested to be a candidate, follow us, and you'll launch that in a week or two, I believe.
Yeah. We're just putting the final touches on some processes. We'll be launching it very soon. So if you're interested in becoming a candidate, make sure that you're signed up as a member. You got to be a member to become a candidate, and make sure you're on our email list to get any of those important updates. It'll be coming down the pipe in a week or two, and we have lots of other kind of exciting projects that we're working on that we'll give you more information on in future shows.
Yeah.
So with that out of the way, I do want to jump over to a discussion on the increasing normalization of radical gender ideology. I don't think this topic gets enough mainstream coverage, to be totally honest. And there have been a few recent bizarre cases that just reminds you that Canada is the capital of clown world. So to start things off, there have been a number of cases of across the country of these all ages drag shows, or these drag queen story hours. There's been a few examples in BC, in Alberta. These just bizarre kind of children targeted events. I have to say, like, what do you think of these sort of drag shows for kids?
Yeah, the problem with that is for the legacy media. For them, it's their cause. They are promoting that. Yeah. And what I don't like, it's a sexualization of children. They are doing shows, and these transgender people, I respect them. You have the right to do what you want to your body, but kids, we are promoting in our school to kids, if you don't feel to be a boy, you may be a girl. That's what I don't like. Yeah. And when they are having these kind of drag queens shows, that is showing to the kids, you can be like them. Yeah, that can be, you can be like them. You just have to take some hormones, and you'll be like that. And maybe kids like it. Kids like to see these drag queens. I don't know. It's the promotion of that is wrong, and they can do what they want. But the promotion of that radical trans ideology is bad for our society.
Yeah. And like drag shows are an innately sexual event. Like it's taking a man and making him appear like a hypersexualized woman. Like, sure, that might be some people's cup of tea, but it's just not appropriate content for children. Like, it wouldn't be appropriate if they were dressed in their own genders, acting in a hypersexualized dress and dancing around and having children put money in their near their private parts and stuff. It's just simply not appropriate content for children.
It is not. And I'm a little bit older than you, Daniel, but in my time, that transgender ideology for us, it was, gender dysphoria.
Yes.
And the solution for that was not hormones or a surgery. It was, for the person to accept their own body. And that must be the case, because we all know that a man won't be able to be a woman, and a woman won't be able to be a man. That's the biological reality. And now with that radical trans ideology, we try to promote that there's more than two sexes. And no, there's only two sexes, and that's man and woman and boy and girl, and that's it. But what is happening in our society, it's sad that other mainstream political parties are not speaking about that. And they are not speaking about that. You know why, Daniel? Because it's popular. It's trendy. So, they want to have your support. They want to be part of that. But, it's not because it's popular that, we will change our point of view on that.
They're scared of being called names, right?
Yeah.
They're the only response to any sort of pushback, even just saying this is not appropriate for children. The response of the left and these radical activist types is just you're bigots. you're just full of hate. This is about love, not hate. Like that's all their responses. And like even to the simple argument as this is not appropriate for children. They're not saying that you should go to jail for doing drag. Like they're just saying stay away from the kids.
That's it.
Because it's grooming, and they think that it's offensive to even say it's grooming when their argument is basically the same. No, we're just trying to normalize appropriate queer gender identification.
When you have less than 1% of the population,
Yes.
you know, so and also it's a kind of an insult for real feminist women. You know, we want women to have safe places, and now, you know, in our society, you have an example in BC, I believe, so that, you know, in BC, a gym for women decided that it's only for real women. You know, if you can have a baby, for us, it's a definition of a woman. So a guy came over there and said, you know, I feel like a woman and I want to be there. So can you imagine when for these ladies that are there and they will have to look at that? Do we have the
I think we got a screenshot.
A screenshot of look.
There we go.
Is he? Yeah.
This is Bridget Klein Simpson out in BC, and much like Jessica Yaniv of a few years ago, the Wax My Balls fellow. This guy is demanding to be let into a females only gym. He's been asked by the owners to attend their co-ed location instead to maintain this kind of safe space for women. And he's been suggesting that this is discriminatory and that he doesn't feel comfortable at co-ed gyms because there's men there and he feels uncomfortable with that.
And he may table a complaint in from the
Human Rights
Tribunal. And actually, you know, these people, they are not real judges.
No,
they're activists, leftists, and so it's happening. They think that they have a right. Sorry about that, but they don't have a right. That person has no right to be in a private gym. If you own a private gym, you have the right to decide, you know, this gym is only for women. That's it. And real one, by the way.
And to make, you know, all the women at the gym uncomfortable just so he can be comfortable is bizarre. But
it's happening in our society, and for the legacy media, that's great. That's okay.
And like Bridget, like gyms can be uncomfortable spaces. Like you have to, there's a certain level of confidence to go out there and to lift weights and maybe not be good at it, but you're out in public. Like it's uncomfortable for lots of people to be in a co-ed gym. That doesn't mean that you get to move into a woman's kind of safe space. It's just absurd.
And you have another case on that, I believe. A lady, a professional nurse, she was censored and punished because, you know, she said there's only two sexes.
She's the woman who paid to put up the billboards that said "I heart J.K. Rowling." And this is, I guess, a transphobic dog whistle because J.K. Rowling has been labeled a trans exclusive radical feminist because she believes that there are two genders. So now she's feeling pressure from her workplace because of her political activism.
And from the professional regulatory body, and like Jordan Peterson. So now these regulatory bodies are trying to regulate what your wrong thing and what you think. They try to regulate your thought, and she does not have the right as a lady to say something that it's based on real biological evidence. And so that's scary. These regulatory bodies are leftist organization and try to impose their woke point of view on their members. It's not supposed to happen in a free society. And Poilievre, the conservative, the liberals, Trudeau, the NDP, they're okay with that.
He's happy to stand up for famous multimillionaire Jordan Peterson. But he's not going to say anything for the little guy. it's one thing if you're promoting your politics in the workplace, right? That's that's under the purview of these business councils.
Yeah.
But now what? You can't have your outward political opinions outside. It's not
Yeah.
like she's hurting anyone.
She's
like,
not. Yeah,
it's a democracy. Like, aren't we allowed to voice our opinions outside of the workplace? No, you're only allowed to have these narrow, radical views. Then they're fine. If she was just going to a pro-transgender,
that
event,
would be okay.
That would be great. She would
okay.
be. They would call her brave, right? Or if she decided to identify as a man, even at the workplace, that would be fine. But
I'm supporting 100% of what she's doing, and that we are fighting for common sense. And but it's too bad that she will have to spend money to defend herself in front of a fake tribunal. I don't know what will happen in the end. I hope she will keep her job, but that's the society of today. And that's why I'm saying, we need to have an ideological revolution. We need to have a common sense revolution in this country. That's why it's not what is happening in our country. It's not what it's supposed to happen in a free and democratic country.
Yeah. Before we move on to the last segment, I want to get your reaction to one of these videos back from one of these all ages drag shows. There was one in Calgary a couple of weeks ago. And I just thought this was hilarious, and I want to get your reaction. This is there was protesters, and then there was counter protesters that showed up, and let's just watch this news clip.
I couldn't imagine that in Canada in 2023 this would still be happening.
Protesters and counter-protesters gathered at the Deerfoot City location of the Rec Room in Calgary Sunday. A drag show was scheduled at the venue. There was also a group planning to attend with a poster saying, "All-age drag show protest," with a quote from the Bible.
Pedophiles! Groomers and pedophiles, all of it!
If they have visited any drag show, they would know that that's not what happens at drag show. Drag is a form of art, and like any other form of art, it can be appropriate for children or not appropriate for children. But we're not saying that children should not be allowed in a Louvre or any other museum.
A large group also came out to support the drag show, organized by the 2S LGBTQ+ community and allies. That group greatly outnumbered the group in attendance against the show.
As an openly gay person, it felt like it was my duty, right, and responsibility to come to counter-protest the hate. So we gathered some of our friends, and we're here to show them that Calgary supports love, and we support diversity, and we support drag for all ages.
Calgary police have set up a barrier between protesters and counter-protesters. Some exchanges between the two groups have been more heated with yelling, while others are holding up signs with various messages.
Drag is beautiful! Drag is beautiful!
Protesters against the drag show displayed signs with messages including "God save the children from sexual exploitation" and "All ages drag shows are child abuse." Also messages against Justin Trudeau and the federal government. Anna Murphy is a transgender woman and advocate for the 2S LGBTQ+ community in Calgary. Murphy sees the importance of showing up in support of the event so that businesses don't stop putting their allyship into action when hosting events like the drag brunch.
All of that progress has been made. In some ways, we are regressing. And especially when it comes to transgender, two-spirit, non-binary, and gender-diverse folks, they are kind of sort of the new target of these alt-right, hate groups.
In Calgary, Danina Falkenberg, City News.
What do you think? I just think it's comical. Like, they have this alien-looking person being like, "Drag is perfect. We should be able to let me talk to your kids." Like, what? No, I don't want you anywhere near my children. Like,
he can do what he wants, or she can do what she wants, but always in front of kids, and that's coming there. They want to influence these kids to be like them.
Yeah,
and that must be the role of the parent to decide if they want that or not. But for me, they can do what they want. Drag shows, it's not new.
No.
We had that for a long time. And that being said, but now they are pushing kids in that and
that's
using
when it
kids.
became
That's what I don't like.
No one was protesting drag shows in 2015. No one cared.
No.
Do what you want, enjoy what you want. But then all of a sudden, the normalization of all ages, drag queen story hour, all this weird stuff around children, that's when these protests started. That's when the pushback started. And no, it's just hate. They have signs that say this is child abuse, that stay away from the kids, protect the kids. And they're like, you saw the news coverage, the advocates on the other side. It's hate. This is just about love. You guys are bigots. Like, no one was saying homosexuals need to be killed. Like, that's not what the sign said. We're not talking about the Islamic Republic here. We're talking about protecting children.
That's it. And I hope that parents will do a little bit more, to protect their kids. When I'm saying that, protect them from that new radical, for me, but not for them, ideology. And it's the new normal. That must not be the case. They are a minority, a very fringe minority, less than 1% of the population. And it's okay. Do what you want. But please, not in front of the kids. That's what we are asking for.
It doesn't seem like an unreasonable request. And who was the politician that was defending this exact event? It wasn't Justin Trudeau. It wasn't Jagmeet Singh.
Conservative, maybe?
It was our friend Michelle Rempel. I think we have a screenshot of her tweet here. There's no hate in Calgary. She stands with the counter protesters and the drag queens. Telling from the modern Conservative Party, they won't even stand up for the kids.
No, they won't.
So I do want to shift over to our final topic at this point. Another reminder, take a moment to interact with this live stream in any way that you can, a like, a follow, a retweet, a share, whatever platform you're on, make sure to take a moment to interact with it, or better yet, drop a comment in the chat, or better yet, a question. We'll be getting to as many as we can at the end of the episode. So start dropping your comments in there now, or our producers are watching the chat. Best thing you can do, though, head over to peoplespartyofcanada.ca and sign up for our email list. That's how you get all of our updates right in your inbox, especially if Maxim is coming to an area near you. He'll be in Atwood, Ontario next weekend, and then after that, he'll be across Manitoba in Steinbach, Winkler, Selkirk, Dauphin, all over the place. Make sure you're on our email list so you get those updates, or check out ppcevents.ca. So now I just want to close out the show with a bit of a discussion on the growing relationship between the Trudeau government and McKinsey and Company. For those not familiar with McKinsey, they are an American global management and consulting firm that works with governments and companies all over the world. They became somewhat notable in Canada throughout the pandemic because they were working with not only Quebec but Ontario on their COVID response programs. That kind of stands out because they were two of the strictest provinces in the country. McKinsey has also played a variety of roles for the federal government, consulting on immigration strategy, the failed infrastructure bank, as well as kind of China relations. So to get a better understanding of how evil this company is, I wanted to watch another clip here from Robert Fife, a journalist from the Globe and Mail, kind of describing how troubling McKinsey is.
Prime Minister's personal friendship with Dominic Barton. Let's look at this company. They had to pay $560 million because for working for a big U.S. farmer called Purdue, which advising them to supercharge sales of opioids that killed tens of thousands of Americans. They were just recently charged in South Africa in a corruption scandal, which they already had to pay $100 million back. They helped Saudi Arabia target online protesters. In 2018, for example, they held an executive retreat at a Chinese internment camp that holds hundreds of thousands of Uyghurs. Now, let's think about this for a second. If the Conservatives had given a contract to a company like this, the Liberals would be screaming at the top of their lungs. The Prime Minister always likes to extol great Canadian values. He'd be saying you can't deal with a company that has no moral compass. So the question is, why are we dealing with this company? They got these contracts because they weren't getting them before. They got them because Dominic Barton's a buddy of the Prime Minister.
And we don't know
his
that,
friend.
to be clear.
No, but that's
the
what it looks
insinuation.
like, right? Yeah. And you know, he also advised them on the infrastructure bank, which, by the way, has been a flop. So there's another example of, okay, maybe they're a bunch of smart guys with PhDs, but their track record in terms of morality and ethics is a complete is very, very questionable. And we have to ask as Canadians, do we really want to be associated with a company like that? I think the opposition parties are saying, all three opposition
they're
parties
united,
are saying, no, we shouldn't be.
Find it hilarious as Vasi Capellas jumps to Trudeau's defense.
Yeah, but you know, he was right.
Yeah.
And he is right. You know, all that started with Dominic Barton.
And who is that?
Yeah, Dominic Barton was but before all that, Dominic Barton was the McKinsey's global boss. And during that time, he was the economic advisor for Justin Trudeau in 2015, 2016. And he was the one who wrote a report on immigration to the Trudeau government about, you know, mass immigration and being sure that Canada will have 100 million people as soon as possible. And now Trudeau is implementing that report because, as you know, the goal is to have 500,000 people every year starting in 2025. So, and after that, because Dominic Barton did a very good job with Justin Trudeau, Justin said, oh, you were so great for us and for the Liberal Party. I will give you another job. And he was appointed in China and was the ambassador of our country in China.
Yeah.
So that's, like you just said, McKinsey is a globalist organization working not only with governments around the world, but also with the World Economic Forum, with the UN, with the World Health Organization. And that's why, Daniel, we had all the same talking points during COVID-19, coming from Quebec in French or coming from UK and in London. That was the same talking points because that was the same firm who was advising all these governments. So we are speaking sometime about the deep state.
Yeah.
And there's the deep state. There's also McKinsey.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of different ways to look at it. There's the bureaucrats, there's the career politicians, but there's also these extra kind of political entities, these consulting firms.
Yeah.
We have them here in Canada as well. There's globalist ones. There's ones in our country here, but they're the same people. Often there's a revolving door, just like with Dominic Barton coming in as the ambassador, going back to McKinsey, being an advisor. We see the same thing with the Conservative Party and their consulting firms. This is where the steady state, the deep state comes into play. And our critics say, like, they like to justify COVID response and stuff by saying, oh, well, all the countries are doing it. Like, it's like everyone independently came to the same conclusions.
No.
But behind it, there's the WEF and the WHO and
McKinsey. So that's why we are speaking about that. And that's why also we're promoting our sovereignty, and all these policies must be decided in Canada by Canadian politicians elected, and none by international bureaucrats or globalists working with McKinsey. And in Quebec also, in French, we had that debate. And because Legault said during the COVID hysteria that, all these decision was coming from his civil servants. But we know now that it was not true. So, and same thing like you said in the beginning with Ontario. So people must know. And they received a lot of contracts, a lot of money from Quebec government, from the federal government.
Yeah, I think we have a graph here. Over Trudeau's tenure, they've been radically increasing in the amount of money that they've been sending. I think that the top bar there, it's like $30 million this year that they've sent to McKinsey just this year. but consistently going up, and you have to question that relationship between Dominic Barton and Justin
Absolutely.
Trudeau.
Absolutely. We need to know a little bit more about that. But people must know that during COVID-19 and, in Quebec, Dominic Barton, and maybe he was not there, but his firm, McKinsey at that time, said to the Quebec government, you must do a curfew. And you maybe put a tax on unvaccinated Quebecers.
Yeah.
That was coming not from the civil servant working for the Quebec government in Quebec. That was coming from McKinsey.
Yeah.
All these bad ideas.
Yeah. And similar is happening at the federal level as well, especially when it comes to the immigration department.
Yeah.
You're getting complaints right out of the bureaucrats that they feel that McKinsey's doing redundant work. That what's the point of having, we have a civil service with thousands of people, bloated civil service of people, and they're not even doing their jobs because Trudeau's simultaneously outsourcing their work to a consulting firm, probably paying a premium.
Absolutely. And when you have how many civil servants working for the government that you can use?
Yeah. And they want to do this work, better by hiring the consultant firm while just paying the normal bureaucrats to do busy work. Like, no wonder that we're billions of dollars in debt.
I won't be, Daniel, I won't be surprised if Justin Trudeau, after politics, is working with McKinsey.
Yeah.
They will thank him for everything that he did.
Yeah.
And he may have a job over there after.
Nice cushy board of directors job.
Yeah, something like that.
He works 10 hours a week and gets paid more than the average Canadian does in their whole life. Yeah, that sounds about right. And we're not making this stuff up. I think we have a screenshot straight from McKinsey's website where they're boasting about their relationship with the WEF. They were there last week doing presentations to the globalists. I think we have another screenshot right after this with lines describing their relationship. They proudly work with the WEF. They're strategic partners.
Absolutely.
They are the arm, there's the think tank arm, that's the WEF, and then now there's the consulting firm that works directly with governments to implement these ideas. And it's not just in Canada, it's in France,
everywhere.
in Mexico, in Germany.
It's a big scandal also in France. In France, sorry. What I must say is, with the legacy media, I'm very critic, about, being neutral and covering the news, both sides of the news. Sometimes, maybe almost all the time, they're not doing that. But on that file, on McKinsey, I must say that CBC, Radio-Canada in French, I was very surprised. They were the first legacy mainstream media who did that investigation.
You'd expect them to be like, oh no, this is the right decision. Trudeau definitely should be giving them millions of dollars, but they're actually covering it seriously.
They did it. They did their job. And with CTV, we just saw they did their job, and that's great. If they can do that in every other public policies, that would be great. But at least they were the one who looked a little bit more about it and came with the story. So good for them. On
so
that.
With McKinsey's kind of suspect track record, especially the opioids crisis is a great exaggeration, like the example, sorry, not exaggeration, that they're supercharging the opioids market. They don't care what it does to these communities, what it does to individuals. They're just trying to make a buck. So in France and some other countries, activists have been pushing for investigations into the relationship between the government and McKinsey, because it's suggested that McKinsey's self-serving and just trying to make a buck. What do you think we need some sort of investigation like that in Canada?
Absolutely. It must be more than only looking at the contracts that they receive and how much money they were able to make with the federal government, but a little bit more details, not only the amount, but what was these contracts, what was the advice, and all these contracts must be public. We must see the details of these deals that we don't see. And I believe that you forgot, Daniel, with all the McKinsey and the links with big international organization, they work also with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Yep.
They did work with them. So all these globalists together. And that's why I'm saying McKinsey is the propaganda arm of the World Economic Forum and World Health Organization. They are the one who are pushing these socialist, globalist policies in every Western government.
Yeah. You say that, or people say, oh, Klaus Schwab isn't the one dictating how COVID policies are implemented in Canada, but Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum have a strategic partnership with McKinsey, and McKinsey works directly with these governments to impose these ideas that are pushed by the WEF and the WHO and such. Like, people like to say it's all about conspiracy theories, but this is all out in the open. Like, this is well documented.
It's already coming from the mainstream media.
Coming from the mainstream media, right on their own websites. They're proud of this. They're happy with the influence that they exert over governments around the world.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add on that, or should we open up the floor for some questions?
Yeah, maybe I must just say that, we won't deal with the World Economic Forum, with the World Health Organization, and also with McKinsey as a political party. And, as a government, for us, we will create our own policy here in Canada with elected politicians and for the good of this country. We don't need them. So we're going to be able to save a lot of money.
Yeah. Millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
That's great. So we're going to open the floor, take some questions for you guys. Before we get into that, start dropping your questions right now. But as a general reminder, make sure you're following us on whatever social media platform you're watching on currently, or jump over to another social media platform and follow us there, especially those pro-free speech channels, Rumble and Odyssey. It's important to follow us there in case we got banned off of the traditional social media platforms. But best thing you can do is head over to our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca. Make a small donation if you can afford it. As Max said earlier, everything under $400 is 75% tax deductible. A $100 donation will only cost you $25 after tax season. So make a small donation if you can afford it. Become a member, especially if you want to be a candidate or get involved. We'll be launching candidate selection soon, but you need to be a candidate to sign. You need to be a member to sign up as a candidate. Or at the very least, sign up for our free email list. That'll make sure you get all of Maxim's hot takes in your inbox directly on a weekly basis, as well as any updates on what's going on locally with your local team, or when Max is coming to an area near you, which he will be if you're in Southern Ontario or anywhere in Manitoba. We'll be making stops across the province.
Good.
With that all out of the way, let's take a few questions before we wrap things up for tonight. Thumb SK, do you recommend that Canadians take the shot?
I don't. I didn't take the shot, and I believe I'm not a doctor. Actually, I must say that. Go see your doctor. I'm not a doctor, but I'm looking at the data, and if you're under 65 years old and you don't have any comorbidities, don't take the shots. So, but ask your doctor, and I hope that your doctor will give you an informed. All the facts for you to have an informed consent.
Yeah. Week after week, day after day, we learn more and more how ineffective these shots are and how oversold they were. So I would be suspect. Do we have any other questions? Dean Johnson, money question. What is the PPC's position on Canadian CBDC, central bank digital currency? Also, what about a commodity-backed currency?
Yeah. So concerning the central bank digital currency, we won't push that. We're against that, and we don't need that in our country. Actually, as you may know, in the last budget, the Trudeau government gave, I believe, $17 million to Finance Canada and the Department of Finance and to the Bank of Canada to look for a project for the next 3 years. So that idea is coming to our country. We must fight that, and you can count on us. We don't need that, and we are against that. That will be another way to control you. The central bank will know everything about you.
Yeah.
Every money that you're going to spend, they will know that. And we believe in privacy. So we will fight that until the end, until we win.
Yeah.
The other part of the question was
commodity backed. But just on CBDCs, like after this year, I'm even more skeptical about this. Not only have we seen the massive crypto crash, but we've seen the government weaponizing the financial system after the trucker protests, freezing people's bank accounts.
It would be easier for the government to do that.
We don't need them to have more control. Think about what they were doing to stop all the give, send, goes and the GoFundMe's and all these things. If all that was central bank digital currencies, they would have just had to phone up their international buddies or phone up the central bank and just delete that stuff. Yeah. We're even seeing the debanking of Jeremy McKinsey just last week.
Yeah, that's another
Banks
point.
getting directly involved in financial punishments. We need to use hard cash to give control back to the people.
Absolutely.
But his other question was about going back to a commodity-backed.
But that may happen at the international scene. We won't be able to decide that here in Canada alone. What I believe in sound money. I believe in a monetary system that will be backed on something real, like gold or commodities. Yes, it may happen. I believe it will happen. Actually, you have the BRIC countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and maybe more countries. They try to find an alternative to the US dollar because, like Daniel just said, the US government is using the financial sector as a tool for his enemies, if I must say. So they are using the financial sector to punish other countries like Russia or other countries. So these countries are fed up with that, and they want to be more independent from that US dollar, and they want to exchange in between them with a new currency, because as you know now, these international transactions are made in US dollar, and they want to create a new kind of a currency that would be back on commodities or on gold. So I'm for that, actually, yes. So, but we must stop the fiat monetary system that we have here in Canada and in Western and all over the world.
Do you think it would go back to gold, or do you think they'd use a bundle of commodities?
Yeah, we had in the past a kind of a gold standard in the 19th century, and that was going very well. Yeah. I hope it can be that. We'll see. But actually, these countries, the BRIC countries, will have a meeting soon, and they will try to have a more concrete proposal. But something is coming. Absolutely, something is coming. I believe that's the end of the US dollar as the international currency. But it won't happen tomorrow. It can be in 5 years, in 10 years, but that is the trend.
Yeah. There need to be international backing. It'll be interesting to watch. Do we have another question? Many Smartle asks, if you became PM, what's the first thing that you'd want to do to help Indigenous peoples?
Well, the first thing is to respect them. The first thing is to give them more autonomy. As you know, right now, everything is decided in Ottawa by civil servants, by politicians. And so, yes, we want to have a new agreement with them based on respect and property rights. So if you want to know more, you can go on our website, read our policy. It's there under People's Party of Canada platform, and you'll see we have a policy like that. I don't have all the solution for that, but we need to bring them at the table with us and giving them more autonomy. They know better how to solve their challenges that they're having. And now everything is coming from Ottawa. Ottawa knows best, and that's not my policy. So respect, give them more freedom, and having a new discussion. Actually, there's a legislation in Canada. We don't have any global or systemic racism in this country, but we have a legislation that is the Indian Act. It's based on race. That's systemic racism. We must abolish that legislation. We will do that. So I think they will appreciate that. So let's have a new relationship, not based on race, but based on respect and individual rights.
Yeah. There's a very top-down relationship, and it's made for such a destructive impact on these communities where the wealth is centralized at the top and doesn't trickle down.
And more transparency also.
Yeah, more transparency, a bottom-up solution.
The federal government is giving so much money to the First Nation, and sometime in some First Nation, not everywhere, we don't know where the money is going.
And then the chiefs are driving around in fancy cars with big houses, but we have no idea where the money's going. Definitely need to abolish the Indian Act and redevelop a new relationship between the federal government and the First Nation. Let's take one more before we wrap up today's show. We're a bit over time. Trevor Smith, our biggest fan, at People's Party of Canada official, is there going to be an election this year? How will you get candidates if there is an election soon?
But there's a question for me and for you. I hope we can have an election as soon as possible. But, I doubt it may happen. It may not happen. But what I can tell you, the party will be ready if there's an election. And our goal is to have a candidate in every riding. And like you said before, we are starting.
We will be launching our candidate selection process soon in the next couple of weeks. It'll be pretty similar to the last few years. It'll be an online application process. Everything will become filtered through headquarters and then back out to our teams locally around the country. There'll be a long application just so we can learn a little bit about you and look into your personal history and why you want to get involved. And if you'd make an effective representative for us, there'll be phone interviews, in-person interviews. And in the case where we have multiple applicants in a given riding, there'll be little mini elections at the local level where our members will decide who will represent them in the next election. So we're getting that kicked off early. We want to make sure that we have enough time to select candidates for every single riding. We were a bit short in the last two. We had 30 candidates or so short of a full slate, but we want to make sure that every Canadian has the option to vote for the People's Party of Canada if they so choose.
And if you're interested, just follow me. I will tweet about it. We'll on our social media. You'll be able to go on our website also.
Or better yet, follow us on our email list, and you'll get it right in your inbox with all the links and all that fun stuff. As long as you're following us on social media or you're on our email list, you'll know as soon as candidate selection is launched in the next couple of weeks. So on that note, I do want to wrap up for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Do you have any final words for?
Thank you, everybody. And, I'll be with you in 2 weeks with Danielle. And, we will always fight for what we believe. And I want you to stay strong and free. That's our battle. And I believe that we will win that together.
Yeah. We're just getting started. Have a great night. Stay strong and free.